Thank you very much for joining us for this coverage of day one of the Division 2 Ultimate Championships. We've got the pool just come out from Fresh Chili left of screen, and what you're looking at right now is Fyshwuck unit. In the commentary booth we'll have Phil, who's also running the main camera, and I've just introduced Blair, who's dialing in from New Zealand. Hello, can you hear us, Blair?
Yes, I sure can. Rex, how are we feeling about this third match of our Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships?
Well, the weather here is playing ball, which is good to see. Although we do have a bit of wind going right to left. The grass is great for laying out, and I expect to see a fair bit of laying out in this match of Fresh Chili versus Fyshwuck.
What a great quick turn there. So we saw some great movement of the disc by Fyshwuck, but huge interception from Victoria's Fresh Chili. And so the turn's gone back the other way. Fyshwuck having come out in a person defense after the turn. Fresh Chili having used a great zone to generate that turn, finding that poach opportunity to send one across. Big fakes to initiate something happening downfield. A low shot kept in the hands, maybe a player left on the ground, but doesn't look like there was a call made there. Fresh Chili just relying on smart disc movement, big fakes, hoping to shift the defense and open an opportunity, create a channel, but nothing's developing. Short gain, not able to close out the point just yet. The call was made, looks like a pick. So just a reminder for the folks watching at home, Ultimate is a non-contact sport. And so if a defender's ability to mark their offensive player is inhibited by the avoidance of body contact, so choosing not to make bodily contact with another player, then that is a pick. The player is allowed to catch up to where they feel they would have been, and then play resumes. Fresh Chili goes a little bit high. Fyshwuck unit get the interception, and the home team are able to fire back downfield.
Fresh Chili in black, Fyshwuck United, and Canberra, local team in orange. Still in this first point of this third game of the day here at the Div 2 fields.
Some really great disc movement from both sides. Fyshwuck in particular, managing to make use of the width of the field as much as possible, but also doing great work on its length, but slight overthrown there, as well as double coverage from the Fresh Chili defense. Generates a turn, giving Fresh Chili, the team playing out of black, an opportunity to work back upfield. But then it goes back the same way. Another quick turn, Fyshwuck with an opportunity here against the Fresh Chili zone. Popping one over the top of the zone for a score as Fyshwuck take the first point of the game. 1-0 over Fresh Chili from Victoria.
Yes, that was nicely weighted. Some of the things that I saw from Fresh Chili just before that turnover were some low to high throws, short throws, but into the wind, and that just made the disc go up even quicker, and that's what turned that last Fresh Chili turnover. pull by Fyshwuck into the wind, just reaching the halfway mark. Lone fresh chili player gets an easy reception and goes to ground. So fresh chili retain the disc. That one goes into the air. Nice and quick decision reflexes by the fresh chili receiver to make a second effort on that.
So again, we're seeing a turnover generated from a slightly bladey throw. So we've seen that quite a lot so far over the course of the last two games between Quench Y and Melbourne Carnage, and also for Factory Frenzy and the NSU Aurora. Players just not able to get those throws as precise as they need to be in these changing conditions. And so we're seeing quite a few turnovers happening as a result of those. Once again, that throw blading over just that little bit early for a nice interception by Fresh Chili. Great low throw.
Very hard to do precision short flick throws when your defender is as close as that defender was. There's a quality throw into the wind, but three Fyshwuck players coming in from different directions, trying to not to collide with each other, create that turnover, and we get a big huck from Fresh Chili straight away, and two Fyshwuck defenders there managing to block out the Fresh Chili receiver. Fyshwuck now on the offense, moving it up just past the brick mark, hard on the sideline with a flick force. That's an excellent reflex grab, one-handed grab. And again, his low to highs.
Getting great bids out of the defense. Huge bid there by the defense, as we're seeing on that replay. Just great work with the fakes to shift the mark out of the way, opening up those channels as Fyshwuck target that near sideline. The disc starting to blade over and catch the wind in the end zone, but always having that second player in position to clean up those options puts Fyshwuck 2 up now.
Fyshwuck putting on zone defense. short pass through to reset the stall count. Now hard on the sideline, nice call, line. Now there's a hard force. Someone's going to have to go over the top here. Still count 9. Fresh Chili hesitant to throw it towards the sideline, knowing they will be trapped. I have not a lot to get off the line. That might have been a travel call.
So a reminder for the folks watching at home with regards to a travel. When a player is in possession of the disc, they're not able to move with it. They have to establish a single pivot point around which they can step as much as they like. If that pivot point moves, that constitutes a travel, and the disc needs to be returned to the thrower, who re-establishes their initial pivot point, and then play will resume.
Now Fresh Chili opening some holes, working it through the middle of the field. Is exactly what any ultimate team will want to do in these conditions. Gust of wind just hits me in the commentary position as I speak, and might have affected that throw over the top as well.
It looked like that scuba over the top came out clean, but had a bit of wobble. It might have been just brushed by the fingertips of the player in the middle of that Fyshwuck zone, trying to force things a little bit, giving Chile an opportunity to cut back maybe 15 meters away from the score.
Caliber of these one-handed takes, very solid, which means we're not going to get a lot of turnovers due to receivers bobbling the disc. So we won't get any, but they'll be minimal, I feel, in this game.
So a great look there by Fyshwuck to try and put that one deep, but again, if we've got that wind moving from the right of the screen to the left, so from the Fyshwuck's defensive end zone to their offensive end zone, it's going to just add an extra few kilometers to the disc speed and be that much harder to run on. But a great option there, as we saw that Fyshwuck offender had clean separation from their defensive player. The look was on. The thrower was in power position, so had all of his momentum behind him. He was able to put it long, but just overthrown. Regardless, it is a great territorial option. And the Fyshwuck unit can now come down and reset that zone, try and pin the Fresh Chili offense down on that near sideline, as we're seeing them do at the moment. Those quick give and goes. Absolutely. So that quick poppy disc movement to shift around the zone.
I think Fresh Chili actually really composed against this strong zone look around the handler. They haven't made too many mistakes. That was a great movement by the handler he gave, and then forced the defender to not have a block on that disc that went straight past him.
And manages it a second time as well, just doing really great work, patiently moving the disc through the zone, which is one of the hardest ways to break it, unless you've got a really confident handler, which Fresh Chili do, but a little bit of crowding there, forcing a throw, generates the turn. Fyshwuck unit zone doing what it needs to do.
Yeah, just the two Fresh Chili poppers coming at the same time, creating a bit of confusion as to who would actually take that.
Great work to shift that disc up the far sideline. Good interception there by Fresh Chili. A little bit greedy, trying to force a low flat shot to use the width of the field, but quick interception and then another couple of snappy passes. Very, very short range, but controlled. Trying to get some yardage up the field. Hoping to get out in front of the zone
Fyshwuck defenders around the handler, the person with the disc. Still manages to zip one through the inside break.
Again, great zone offense that we're seeing great zone offense here from the Fresh Chilies. Working around and through the Fyshwuck as much as possible. But the zone doing what it needs to do to generate that turn, saying, sorry, Chilies, but we are jalapeno business. And so Fyshwuck with an opportunity here, hoping to put their third consecutive point on the board, 15 meters out from the zone. Great give and goes, a body on the line, it's not quite enough.
They are threading some needles.
Chili's.
Fresh chili. Handler set.
Long shot goes. Defensive pressure by the Fyshwuck unit is enough to stop that one finding hands.
The defense there forcing the Fresh Chili receiver to jump early. The wind having a slight part in that, keeping it up a bit more. Some of these handlers are having it in mind that this point is going on way too long, and we need to end it with a huck or two.
But that's one of the dangerous things that you'll find in a situation like this. Individuals with a lot of disc skill and a lot of game experience quite often will put pressure on themselves to finish out the point. They're trying to do everything they can to make their teammates' jobs easier. But in doing so, they can quite often force things. As we see there, they're trying to do too much. When really what's needed in a situation like that is to take a breath, recognize both sides are tired, not force things, let them happen organically, put that trust back in the teammates. Exactly as we're seeing Chile do for a great score. Just not having one player set the pace, but having the whole team dictate the rate at which they're willing to move the disc down the field, the shots that they're willing to take. Not having individual quarterbacks trying to do all of the work to make things as easy as possible with their teammates.
Fresh Chili getting their first point. And they're excited.
A long pull going out the back of the end zone. So Fyshwuck unit have an opportunity now. And that is one of the key things in terms of good defense, particularly in conditions like this, is that pulls are going to dictate the structure of a point. A good pull can pin the offense down in the back corner of their end zone. Not only do they have a full field ahead of them to work up, they have to work the disc out of the end zone, and every throw made in questionable conditions like this is an opportunity for an interception, which can lead to an immediate score off an offensive throw for the defense. But we're bricking the disc here. Fyshwuck unit, quick gainer, and then sending it free down the far end of the zone. Again, intercepted by Chile. Just that better read, better positioning, double coverage even. Great defensive vision there. Working up the far sideline now. A quick bullet to gain some yards, followed by another 18 meters out from the score. Forced to work around the Fyshwuck defense. Not content to be pinned down on the sideline, those line drives become that much harder throws to make. Fyshwuck generating the turn, signaling for someone to go deep. Nothing develops downfield. Instead, Fyshwuck look to center the disc to try and get some horizontal movement instead, creating opportunities downfield. And it's one of those curious things. Cuts and offensive structure can develop either handler initiated or cutter initiated. So in this case, we're seeing that there. The cutter was in that deep space but wasn't making an active cut to the end zone. The thrower saw an option, put the disc up and said, I'm trusting you to get there. Can be a little bit risky as well. It depends on where the experience in the team tends to be aggregated. Great defensive pressure by Fyshwuck to stop the Fresh Chile offender getting up to full speed and getting in a better position to attack that disc.
Short field turnover gives Fresh Chile their second point. Even it up.
And so both of these teams are coming in to this match with one win on the board already. Fyshwuck having played to 15 over SWU. Fresh Chile having beaten Quench X 10-9 in their previous game. Now we've saw Quench Y go 15-6 over the Melbourne Carnage. So we're starting to get a bit more sense of the depth of the field, particularly in the open division, as we get a better sense for how these teams are stacking up against one another. But a quick timeout called there. We are 2-2. So a very, very tight game here. Both of these teams coming in undefeated. Both of these teams wanting very desperately to keep that streak going.
Timeout called. Probably hear the wind coming through my microphone. Gives you an idea of what's happening down here at ground level.
And it's one of those great things about windy conditions like this for Ultimate. We see these players managing to make these connections despite the wind, but it really doesn't do justice the skill and technique and athleticism and intelligence required by these players to do that. There's always the old joke about how important it would be to have an average person trying to run the 100 meters alongside Usain Bolt, just for a bit of perspective. And I think if we could just get two random volunteers off the street to try and throw a frisbee 10 meters or so somewhere on the sidelines, just for a sense of perspective, how far above normal these athletes are in terms of their ability to move the disc around the field.
Yes, exactly. Chile putting on a zone of their own.
As we've spoken about in previous games, Phil, I'm a huge fan of zone defense. It feels like you're a part of a team. Oh, a dirty elevator push pass over the top of the zone. Some filth that we're seeing from Fyshwuck, but the disc denies the cockiness and says, okay, if you guys are going to play around, I'm going to play around. It finds ground, giving Chile an opportunity to work back upfield. A long, low, flat shot. Not enough range on it. I really do love a zone defense. It's great. It forces your 7 players on the field to work as a team, more so than the individual matchups from a person defense would.
Feels good, it looks good when that happens. You've got seven individuals working as a unit. It's the beauty of team sports.
Chile at their brick mark. Close to the far sideline, the force instead looks to be forcing towards the near sideline, a forehand force. Again, just coming a little bit high, comes off the fingertips of the Chile receiver, giving Fyshwuck an opportunity. 16 meters out from their own end zone. Close to a score, some great movement, but too much defensive pressure from the Chile. Again, those long line drives up the far sideline just falling a little bit short. Generating those turns, players trying to get a little bit greedy. We're seeing a lot of long points. We're already nearly 30 minutes into the game and we are only at the 5th point. Players having traded thus far, the two sides rather, 2 points apiece. Early bid there on the replay. Maybe recognizing the presence of those defenders, getting in the way, wanted to get early, wanted to secure it. Could have maybe held on a second on that jump to pull that one down, but these things happen. Fyshwuck now coming down in that zone defense, having to make that switch.
How this fresh Chile handler set is very comfortable with both the wind and zone. Not surprising coming from Melbourne. Quite a windy city in itself. Not as windy as Wellington over there in your fair part of the world. But nevertheless, these fresh Chile boys will be used to the wind. ACT also obviously playing on their home turf. Know these conditions, know how the wind plays throughout the day here in Canberra.
Yeah, some really great give and go movement by the fresh Chile side there, but not able to close that one out, just secure that last pass. And you're absolutely right. I think it's one of those weird things to find when the home field advantage, you get surprising weather conditions. Still days in Wellington is probably some of the weirdest conditions for Ultimate because everyone goes there expecting huge amounts of wind, and so people are quite often compensating for breezes that aren't there. And it's funny seeing even some of the strongest players in New Zealand, particularly that Wellington side, who are used to throwing in anything short of a hurricane, getting caught a little bit by the lack of wind. And so again, we're seeing here the Fresh Chili side playing the discs low as they're trying to drive towards the right-hand side of your screen. We know that's the direction the wind's coming from. They're having to play into it, so they're prioritizing those shorter passes, those low passes, to minimize the chance that the wind can interfere with it. Fyshwuck not having to deal with the same issue, instead looking at that downfield, the wind at their back. Their releases are going to be a lot higher, and they have the opportunity to throw those longer passes. Tried to jump that one in there, not quite. Some very indoor-looking ultimate there. Tries to force it in again, trying to do it low to get underneath the Chile defense with the wind at the back, just forces it down to the ground. Not really a chance to get that one. Chile doing some great work. Clean. Great score by Chile. Just those same smart short passes, shifting the momentum of the offense to get it outside of the defense's sphere of influence, waiting for that long cut to develop, to open up, and then putting a great, well-weighted shot floated perfectly into the receiver's open hands as Chile go ahead for the first time in the game, 3-2 over Capital Territories' Fyshwuck unit.
Yes, and the Fresh Chili boys rushing on the field, supporting their teammates for the hard work that they did, moving the disc upwind with a strong Fyshwuck unit zone on them. A lot of pressure on Fresh Chili during that point, but Fresh Chili have really turned this around after Fyshwuck unit scored the first 2 points, the last 3, momentum with Fresh Chili.
So Fresh Chili now, we've seen them start to play a little bit of a zone defense of their own. They recognize now probably that the conditions are putting the wind at the face of Fyshwuck. And so again, we are seeing that sort of looser zone defense rather than that person defense. Hoping to generate a turn early, put another point on the board and widen up that score margin. But Fyshwuck respond by chipping away, cutting through that defense. Some long shots up the middle, through the field. Forced to work around instead.
For a lot of opportunities there for anyone to grab it, and also for collisions, and there was a collision that came out of the end of that.
Fyshwuck doing a great job. There it is, threading through the middle, but it's closed off by the Chile defense. We're seeing a hand up on the near sideline, signaling, hey, I'm very free. I know you can get the disc to me, but it doesn't come. That defense applying just enough pressure, sealing off some of these more optimistic throwing angles. But it doesn't stop Fyshwuck from chipping through anyway, putting another point on the board as we go 3-all, 34 minutes into the game. Fyshwuck unit coming down on defense now. We're seeing the fresh chili from Victoria come out in a horizontal stack, but prioritizing a lot of give and go movements off an initiation cut, which is very, very smart ultimate in these conditions. Eventually that flow breaks down. Great work resetting the disc, keeping the stall count low. So again, just a reminder for the folks watching at home who, whoop, fresh chili with a great second attempt to get that read, and then miscommunication has the disc finding the ground. Just a reminder that players in possession of the disc can hold on to it while being marked for a maximum of 10 seconds as counted by the opposition. Fyshwuck with the wind at their backs. Fresh chili down in a zone defense.
Cameraman Rex getting in the picture there. Thanks, Rex. Making a good defensive block.
So the disc will come back in where it crossed that perimeter line. Well done, number 5. Time to close it out. He puts the beautiful inside-out backhand curving up and back towards the center field for a great, beautiful score there for Fresh Chili to go back up 4-1. We're going to get to see that again. The reverse of the commentator's curse. I called it. I told him to close it out. We see it happen. The right inside-out backhand just beautifully floating up and down. What are we going to see from the Fresh Chili defense this time? As we come up to 40 minutes of the game, only 7 points scored. So each of the points is averaging about 5.5 minutes of length at this point, which is some very, very long ultimate points, considering that we've seen already in the 2 games we've shown so far, Quench Y versus Melbourne Carnage and Factory Frenzy versus NSU Aurora, that we've seen 2-3 pass offenses. Long points like this, in my opinion anyway, just mean both teams are playing great defense. We're seeing those fantastic interceptions, pressure on the thrower, that are forcing errors that we might not see these teams make against teams that weren't pressuring them as much.
What's the zone look you see here?
It looks a little bit like an arrowhead to me, Phil. So 3 players chasing the disc, 1 player focusing on the active handler, the player with the disc, as much as possible. The other 2 trying to take away those around lanes to sort of the left and right hand sides of the field from the thrower's perspective. And then there's 3 players in that midfield as well, stopping anything coming over the top. 1 player sitting in that deep space, just as a constant threat to discourage any long shots. Quite often you have a very tall, very athletic player taking that space, but more than just their physical presence, to play well in that deep space requires great vision and communication, because they're giving information to the players in that midfield space to tell them where cuts are coming from, where the offense are targeting. And so it's a really difficult position to play well. Having the good fortune to have a good deep on your team can make all the difference for a zone defense. And as we're seeing here, they're starting to pressure down a little bit on the Fyshwuck unit, but they're still making gains up the field. We can see a Fyshwuck player wide open, hands up in the end zone, but not necessary. A quick 5-meter pass as Fyshwuck tie the game 4-all. We'll see that again. If you look to the backfield, you can see a player put his hand up saying, I'm open. He's seeking a hammer or some over-the-top throw, but it doesn't need to come. There's a wide open gap there. And just as it closes, the disc slips through. Fyshwuck put another one on the board to tie the game. So Fyshwuck unit now from Australian Capital Territory, the home team in this, the third match of the first day of the Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships in Canberra, to come down on defense for the 9th point of the game, hoping to create a little bit of distance between their rivals, the Fresh Chili from Victoria. It's a tough thing. A game being this close, nearly halfway through in terms of time, still relatively low scoring. It's harder to know how things are going to shake out.
Fyshwuck opting to go match defense this time. And the turnover not created as much from the defense, but rather offense forcing pressure on themselves.
Looked like it might have been overthrown there, but Fyshwuck still able to get hands to it. There's a big bid as the disc finds ground. Bit of a questionable throw, but kept alive by the Chili handler set. Even a short-range forehand like that, helixing in the wind.
Could be anyone's.
Beautifully received. The Rockstar power slide as the Chili player takes a knee. But an interception from Fyshwuck. High release forehand after he holsters the big meaty huck. Chili quick to initiate the offense, going back the other way. Players open, comfortable to receive the disc. Trying to do too much too quick. Just trying to force it, trying to do too much at once. Chili in the red zone. One pass away from keeping the lead. Intercepted comfortably by Fyshwuck. Was a great look, maybe a little bit much float on it. Took a second for the receiver to really get in a great position, by which time Fyshwuck's defense had closed down. Puts the big shot up. Trying to get it past halfway, sick of playing in their own defensive zone, overthrown. Again, that downwind just putting that extra zip on the disc, forcing things a little bit deeper than you're expecting. A great territorial option, particularly if Fyshwuck want to keep using that great zone defense that's done some fantastic work for them in generating turns.
Wasn't really too sure if the Fyshwuck handler was wanting to just gain meters there or put the pressure on the fresh chili handler set. Either way, I think they're putting more pressure on the Fyshwuck defensive set to stop fresh chili from making their way up the field.
And again, just slight overbidding by the mid in that cup, middle player of the cup, creating a window that's exploitable by the Chile offense, but they tried to do too much. Fyshwuck with a run through D, continuing that disc fading, but kept. Looks like that one was towed in. No protest from the Chile defense there, which puts Fyshwuck up by 1-5-4 over Fresh Chili from Victoria. We'll get to see that again. There it is. That's the run through block, turning into a deep cut. Quick pickup. Gets a bite from the defense, finds them off balance. Beautifully weighted throw, right at the back of the end zone. Fyshwuck to come out on defense now. Another turn for them puts them at a nice 2-point advantage. Fresh Chili needing an offensive hold here to keep the game as closely competitive as it has been over the last 47 minutes. And that's what we like to see. Even in a game as tightly contested as this, still seeing smiles on those players' faces. Really exhibiting the spirit of Ultimate, a great high edge pull that comes down with a bit of roll. Giving the defense an opportunity as Fyshwuck come down in a match defense. Not enough to stop the undercut. Chile to keep possession in that same horizontal stack. Nearly had it, but not quite. Touched grass before he got secure control of the disc. Sends a big shot up, catches wind underneath it, starts to turn over. Chile get the defense. Great shot, immediately running from that throw to try and follow it. It doesn't need it. Just overthrown there. You could see that chase start to slow down as he realized he wasn't going to make it. Heartbreak for the Chilis, but they're in a great position defensively. Right on the front of their own end zone. Great work by Fyshwuck, sending a rip up. Again, a lot of edge, but it's kept in hands this time. 19 meters out from a score. Despite great defensive pressure from the Chile. Ooh, contact on the mark there. Call made immediately. We're going to see that again, just really close quarters Ultimate, trying to create a very narrow a narrow running lane to seal off the defense, but running straight into the back of the mark. So that's a contested foul because presumably players have disagreed about who initiated the contact. So we're seeing Fyshwuck in a vertical stack, so trying to maximize space on the near side and far sideline. Maybe to set up an isolation play, have one of their maybe more agile or more explosive receivers in that stack, get that separation. There it is. Great work. So just managing to chip away, having a great cut into space to initiate momentum, having a player move out of that handler set into space. A great score for Fyshwuck as we go 6-4 over the Fresh Chili. We'll see that again. He's waiting for an opportunity. There's the open receiver, and it's straight away out of that cut, seals off his own defender, and then starts to move deep into the end zone for a great score. That's just good body positioning, good field awareness. Probably could have come out of that throw a little bit earlier, but still finds great position, sealing off that defense for a fantastic score, number 20 for the Fyshwuck unit.
That pull, like a few before, going right to left, has gone out the back of the end zone, and it'll be brought up to the brick mark. Fresh Chili starting off with a horizontal look.
Fresh Chili doing a great job of just moving the disc around, keeping that possession. Not being afraid to move the disc backwards is doing them a huge favor in these conditions under the huge defensive pressure from Fyshwuck, but that pressure is enough to generate a turn. Fyshwuck wanting to move within 1 point of taking half against a Fresh Chili zone, slowly closing down the iron jaws of the Victorian side, hoping to close, but
Not too sure what the thought was with that throw.
Might have been a high stall count number, just trying to get things moving. Fyshwuck now back on offense. We'll see. They may not make the same mistake again.
And two simple turnovers. The previous one, fresh chili. This one, Fyshwuck.
Great hands on that reception there, but as you say, we're seeing a bit of inconsistency. Some really great hands now, but previously it's been just cold drops. Chile right on the red zone, on the doorstep, pulling that one down for a great score as we go 6-5. Fantastic work for them. So 11 points in the game, 57 minutes. We are still looking at a rough 5.5 minutes per point. That is a long time to be doing 60-meter shuttles, sprinting up and down the field.
That's why we practice them. But yes, each point will be tiring these boys out further and further.
Fyshwuck unit setting up in a horizontal stack. Largely person defense from Chile, but we are seeing them look to sort of bracket. They generate the turn 18 meters out from a score to tie the game. And we can see the patience exhibited by the Chile handlers as they walk to the disc. So looking to determine the pace of the possession rather than running up to it for a quick break, trying to get out in front of the defense, trying to remind everyone to remain calm. But the first throw of the possession goes past the receiver. Fyshwuck now looking to cook things up a little bit, but intercepted cleanly by Fresh Chile. Big wide swing, trying to use the width of the field, trying to stretch the defense. Coming back the other way, tips it to himself. A big lefty forehand up that near sideline. Puts a bomb up, pulls it down. What a dynamic grab. Putting on a show for the folks at home as the score goes 6-6, currently tied. We are closing out the first hour of the game. 12 points on board. 60 minutes of play, an average point length of 5 minutes. The fatigue is going to start to set in. Neither of these teams have reached half yet. The first team to score 8 points will take half and give both sides a much-needed short break before they come out and battle it out. Such a hotly contested match. The third match of our streamed coverage of the Australian Ultimate Championships 2021 Division 2 in sunny, beautiful Canberra. There it is. A big shot, a lot of traffic. Double tapped by Fresh Chili for the defense. That's good. Fyshwuck defense. Just getting involved, seeing the float there, knowing you've got the athleticism to get a better read and better positioning. Generates that turn, threading one through. Tries to leap to grab for it, but Chile start to work back upfield as they take possession again. An unfortunate turnover there. Fresh Chili takes his hat off in a little bit of disappointment. Fyshwuck now right on the front of their offensive end zone. They'll bring the discount one player back to give an emergency option if necessary, but here's the opportunity for them to make an isolation play. We see them try it, but it looks like a travel was called because of the established pivot point needing to be within the playing area. And they're just going to get some rules clarification there. So he moves his foot back into the playing area. Some potentially pedantic quibbling there, but the rules themselves are important. It's something that defines the spirit of the game, something unique to the sport of Ultimate. A knowledge of the rules, a respect for the rules, for yourself, for your opposition, for your teammates. So we'll just wait for this to be clarified. It's a great option to keep that just going wide, but Fyshwuck take it. The great slash cut to the near sideline. 7-6, 63.5 minutes into the game. Fyshwuck unit 1 point away from taking half. So the Fish come down one more time, hopefully for them, their last point of the half. Fresh Chili looking for a hole to take us to a galaxy point, where both teams have the score tied before the halftime is taken. We see that horizontal stack that Fresh Chili have used quite well so far, able to get some gain up the field. Great lefty backhand, but a bid from Fyshwuck are enough to generate the turn in their own half. Cuts looking to develop downfield, trying to get that separation, trying to get open for those Fyshwuck handlers to put one up. We see it. Comes down, jumped in for the score and the half time as Fyshwuck take it 8-6. So we will be back. Phil and I will be back with you very, very shortly. We're just going to take a short break. These players have definitely earned it. But again, for the third game of the Australian Ultimate Championships Division 2 in Canberra. My name is Blair Monroe. I'm here with Phil Shields, and we'll be back after a short break.
Fyshwuck just put the pull up to start the second half. And the frisbee comes out just at the halfway mark in front of the camera position, which is where I'm commentating from. So in that case, Fresh Chili will bring the disc to the brick mark, looking for a one-pull pass play. And they get
managing it. Absolutely beautiful. Ask anyone at home, anyone watching at home, anyone on the sidelines, what offense is supposed to look like, and they will point to this field and show you a play like that. So it's 8-7 now. Fresh Chili behind by only one.
Fyshwuck looking to put up their own answer to that Fresh Chili play.
It doesn't come off. Double coverage on the defense, or maybe not double coverage, but certainly a congested end zone. 4 players getting underneath, trying to make their presence known on the field.
Thrown straight to the ground.
So Fyshwuck unit playing out of Australian Capital Territory in the orange to take the disc at their own brick mark, hoping to put another point to widen up that score if possible. Quick reset to center field. Despite the Chili zone applying pressure, threads a laser beam through that zone to find a receiver right on the doorstep. A couple of quick give and goes, but they're forced to look elsewhere. That zone defense doing a great job of resting the movement. There it might have been. Not able to swing one out to the far sideline. Finds it anyway for a stationary reception for a great score as Fyshwuck go up by another one, making the score 9-7 in the Australian Ultimate Championships Division 2. It's a great privilege, I think, Phil, being able to have that bird's eye view that you and I have at the moment, and those viewers at home with our ultimate experience. Being able to see those kind of plays develop. You could see the momentum swinging out that way. You could see the defense out of position. You just want to yell to the players with the disc, look to your right, and you'll see exactly that. A great throw there to close out that point.
It's definitely a good way to improve your ultimate. Look at some of these plays, the footage from the bird's eye view, to be able to see how plays are developing, how the handlers are reacting to it, their field of vision, that they don't get tunnel visioned. They are able to move the disc side to side and backwards, not just forwards, not just get that tunnel vision into a corner either.
So Fyshwuck now to come back on defense. The pull going just a little bit past the halfway mark. coming down in that zone defense that we've seen them use incredibly well to chip away at the narrowest of margins in this game against Victoria's Fresh Chili. Great bid by Chili, but it's not enough to keep it in hand, so Fyshwuck have the advantage now. Quick around backhand, but a timeout is called. A veteran call. So after that timeout, Fyshwuck looked to set up their offense in a vertical stack before the Chili's apply their defensive structure. The force, as the Chili's try and force the Fyshwuck players to play along the near sideline as much as possible. A great break throw to find the defense out of position by Fyshwuck, but the defense quickly reset. Great reset there, a laser beam pinned down on the near sideline, waiting for cuts to develop in that deep in the end zone. Nothing really coming. They're forced to work backwards. There's the open cut developing. Great reception over the top. It looked so good from where we were. But the Chili's saying no, not today. Putting a high shot up. Chili's managed to pull that one down. Refusing to give it away. Everything on the line, not quite enough. Fyshwuck to take possession one more time, hoping to put another point on the board. We know they've got the throws to do it. And if they can manage it, it opens it up to a 3-point game. Exactly the kind of margin that they'd be looking for at these later stages of our cap. We are coming up to the 80th minute of the game. Or rather, 80 minutes down in the game. There it is. Not quite. Again, we're seeing so many of these throws come out with that little bit of edge, that outside edge that causes them to curve back in center field when thrown as a forehand. Chile going back the other way. Definitely overthrow there. No way that receiver was going to get to the disc, but it's a great territorial option. And I've mentioned in previous games, Phil, the importance of having that finer control, particularly in these windy conditions. The benefit of having a throwing coach or someone with a lot of experience in that space to really drive the development of those throws at this competitive level. We're seeing a lot of discs turn over a lot. Maybe some more precision in the offensive hands. Might see fewer of those turnovers. speaking of, might see some cleaner offense, which I think both of these teams would benefit from, particularly as the fatigue is starting to set in. We've had some really, really long points throughout the course of this game. And I mean, I've mentioned a throwing coach that I'm quite a big fan of. What about you, Phil? Have you got sort of any experience in terms of that technical development side? Great run through D there. And contact on the throw. Just a quick disc check, as it looks like there's a little bit of bend to it. But not enough to make an impact on play. Great recovery there by Fyshwuck to keep that one alive as it comes off the hands of the initial receiver. Again, so many of these retentions of possession. Great score by Fyshwuck to go up 3 points over Fresh Chili from Victoria. So many of these retentions of possession seem to be a function of great grabs by the receivers more than they are controlled and clean throws from the offense, which is a tough spot to be in. It's great when you can trust your players to make those kind of grabs, but it's important to recognize that there are two aspects to a completion. There is the throw and the catch, and it's the responsibility of both players to do everything they can to make that job as easy as possible for the other. So again, I've mentioned Jamie Erickson, a great throwing coach working out of the United States of America, who's developed a one-of-a-kind program that really focuses on the individual's throwing mechanics to try and teach them a series of fundamentals that would allow them to throw in these kind of conditions without too much effort at all. So Jamie Erickson with Jet would be a fantastic point of call, particularly as we're in sort of a pre or during COVID world. Things tend to be online. Really, really great person to work with, even despite things like time zone differences. So if you're looking to improve your throwing, she definitely gets my highest recommendation. So Fyshwuck unit to come out on defense, a monster pull. Great amount of edge, a lot of roll, but Chili's stopped that movement. Fyshwuck now establishing that same zone. Great immediate turn, but looks like there was contact on the throw. So we'll see that again. Now, why that contact wasn't called until that reception was made, it's a bit curious. There's always the opportunity in a self-officiated sport like this to retract a call. So the player could have made contact on that throw or made the call on the contact immediately and then chosen to retract had one of his receivers kept it. It could be a function of it being so late in the game, not wanting to risk spending any time doing that. So Chili's moving that disc quite well, going a little bit over the top, adjusting, keeping possession. Overthrown and a lot of roll, puts Fyshwuck right here in the scoring opportunity. This is the one. And there it is. There goes the game, 11-7 to close this one out for Fyshwuck, the home team from the Australian Capital Territory, as we play out the third match of the Division 2 Australian Ultimate Championships here between Fyshwuck unit and Fresh Chili from Victoria. So we'll get to see that again. Just a great interception. Way to close that one out for the lads in orange. Fantastic effort there. But until then, we'll be back very shortly with another game brought to you by Ulti TV. Until then, my name is Blair Monroe, the unofficial